Hey guys, welcome to December at Prime. As you can tell, it's beautifully decorated. I am truly impressed evermore with Prime and what they do. They're all Christmas festive. It's really nice, really nice. On my way to my car, I just finished my classes and give you an update here momentarily. Hi guys. I ran into somebody tonight who's been watching my videos, and she was just real encouraging. And this is my second night back at Campus Inn and for upgrading, and I wanted to tell you about that experience. Well, it's been 3 weeks. It's been 3 weeks. I know I said 2 weeks, but I spent a week at home after I did the 10,000 miles, which I really needed because it had been months, really, and I just needed some downtime, especially when you're on 12 hours on, 12 hours off, and you're going that way for too long. It's, you can get pretty wore out. And, my new trainer, his name was Steve, and he was fantastic. His truck, I loved his truck. Loved it. He was from Tennessee, and it was black, and it had, you know, big orange T's on it, and the inside was super neat. He was really up to date on the gadgets and, you know, the navigate, the GPS things, and the dash cams, and it was just really a good experience. We did 10,000 miles in a week and a half. In fact, I think my time said 12 days. So we did 10,000 miles in 12 days. And he was on it. He was very business, and I loved it. He pre-planned most everything with A, B, C, or D that could happen and what would be best. He was very transparent when it came to the knowledge that he had. Or even his life as a trucker and a trainer. I could pick his brain. It was just really refreshing to listen to him as his brain ticked away with all these things that we could do, and here's hoping, and you know, and it was just really nice. I really, really enjoyed him. Oh, he cracked me up all the time. It was super nice, and I don't know if I would be here right now if he wasn't helping me along the way. I don't know how everybody else got here, but I know I did my 10,000 miles, and I told Steve that I was going home and had doctor appointments and whatnot I had to go to. And I told him I'd be back on the 26th. And that Sunday, or last Sunday, he called, and are you coming? And I said, yeah, I just rented a car, looking at the weather, because it looked like snow. He's like, it's clear here. So I'm like, well, I'm on my way. And I was really late. I meant to really leave Sunday morning, and I didn't leave till Sunday night. I knew somebody said something about a safety class, so I knew I was going to have to do that, but I did not know anything else. So I got here, I made it here at 6:20 in the morning. Now I'm exhausted because now I've been up all day and all night. And I thought, I'm just going to get my room. I'm going to get a couple hours sleep. Then I'm going to call my new dispatcher, or find out, because nobody's given me his number. Of course, I didn't ask. So she says she doesn't have any rooms. I'm like, okay. She's like, are you going to the class? And I said, to what class? Oh, the safety class. I said, I looked at the clock. I was like, what time does it start? 7. I have 20 minutes to get there. She's like, well, if you don't take it today, then that's going to be another day that you don't get your truck. I said, you know what? I'm just going to go ahead and get it over with. Why not? How long does it last? About 11, 12 o'clock. All right, that's what I'm going to do. And I did. I went out there, I had to straighten out my car, grab a few things, and I headed on to class. And I got that done. He had to do a backing test on the simulator, and I got that done. It wasn't that bad. And you know, I'm still not all that greatly comfortable with backing, but I think that's an experience thing. And then today I had an automatic transmission class. It was very informative, and a logs class that actually was really good. And then, so that's 2 days. Yeah, I had to do like 30 CBTs. You're almost doing the same ones over again that you were doing before you came here, but it was kind of nice to have that refresher, but it took all day to do. Most of the day yesterday to do. And then I had to be in a meeting in the orientation office at 7:30 where they go over and make sure all your CBTs and everything's done. And then I came back to the room. Then I went back to my 1 o'clock classes and went back-to-back classes from then on. Got my TWIC card. Now I'm supposed to, at 8 a.m., I'm supposed to call my new dispatcher. And I guess then wait for a truck. And I've got like 1,000 questions. So I have this kit group that I belong to for truckers. And they're always fantastic in there. Some of them has been around a long time, and others are just new. And there's another guy, and he just completed this, and he's got his own truck. While I was going through training, he was going through the upgrade process. And talked to him and his wife. They live here in Springfield. In fact, I really want to meet her in person. So he started telling me some of the costs that are going to be up front that I need to be prepared for. And I said, well, how long did it take to get his truck? 2 weeks. 2 weeks to get his truck. I don't know why. I'm really hoping I'm not sitting around here for 2 weeks. I don't think I've got the money to sit around here for 2 weeks just to eat on, you know what I'm saying? And then I guess he got his dispatch, gave him an orientation packet. Yeah, any information would have helped. I feel like I'm kind of on a branch, and I'm just following everyone else because I really don't quite know what's going on. I mean, I do to a certain extent, but it was kind of like training to get my CDL. It's like I have to go out on the pad and beg people for this information so I know what the hell I'm doing. And I feel like that's kind of what I'm going through again. And I'm wondering how everybody else, I guess everybody's told just to go to that safety class that comes in from their miles, and they're going through the same thing, I guess. And maybe they don't have an orientation pack anymore. Hell, I don't know. But I've got a lot of questions about the truck and the expenses right off the bat. And it's like, if you're leasing, you get to take these classes, and then you have these trucks to pick from. And if you go to successleasing.com and look on their website, you can look at all their inventory. So if you're leasing, you can see what trucks they've got available. and what you can come in and get the key and go out and look. So that's kind of neat, but that's not company, and I'm going company because I'm not going through the winter lease. I'm just too new, and I want to learn the industry and be comfortable with it before I decide, oh, let's own my own business now and pour some money into a truck. You know, I want to get my feet really grounded first. So I went then this afternoon to meet my new dispatcher, and he was gone for the day, so I couldn't do it. And then I went to go to the leasing desk to try to ask information, and they were really busy. Like, I stood there probably 15, 20 minutes, and they couldn't get to me. Because that's what I wanted to ask, like, company truck, how does this work? What's my next steps? Or am I just sitting in a hotel room waiting for a phone call? I'm not making any money here. They're not making any money with me sitting in a hotel. So it's hard to believe 2 weeks. Hell, I could have stayed home for that. Right? So I'll let you know about that as soon as I do. Because this is part of the journey, right? This is part of the journey. I've got my rental car till Friday. So somebody's going to have to tell me something before then. And then I'm going to be stuck here without a car. And that's not going to make me very happy. Because all my stuff is out there. And I kind of wanted to leave it all out there. Put it in the car and then put it in my truck. That's the easiest way to do it. But if somebody else isn't on the ball, then my plan gets shot, and I really hope not. When I met the girl, so nice, and I wish I could remember her name now. I'm terrible with names. But I told her to comment on one of my videos, and I would shout out at her. You know, she had a good idea. She had a really good idea, and maybe we could go with it somehow. You know, you've got lists out there for, like, if you want somebody to come work on your house, then you're gonna look at. I'm so tired now. It's so late. I can't remember the list names. Like Jenny's List. What is it called? I know y'all are hollering it at me right now. What is it? If I was live, that would be good, right? Angie's List. You would look on Angie's List, and Home Advisor. There's your other one. So you've got lists, and you know, like, if we had trainers, right? And you could leave your feedback. I really think that would be beneficial, and it would hold some of these trainers accountable for what goes on, because sometimes they're training for all the wrong reasons, and they need trainers so bad. I think things are being overlooked, and there's just so many nightmare stories, so many, worse than mine, not as bad, but still not right. When I was in the logging class today, they had a couple of them, and even she was like, you need to tell somebody about that, because it is not right. For me, me and Captain was not getting along very well about the last week and a half or so. The way he did things rubbed against me wrong. Kind of went against my grain, you could say. I had issues. I really kind of dealt with a lot to be on his truck, and I'm guilty of that, and I swear, you know, like, don't be like me. And then I hear so many stories where it's the same thing. Well, if I could just get through it, if I could just get my miles. And it all depends on what you can put up with. for me, he was a friend of my mom's. And I thought I done hit a jackpot, you know. This is going to be really good. You know, he's been trucking for a long, long time. He's very intelligent. That we were going to get along great. And I wouldn't have any problems. I mean, he knew my mother, so he knew me. He knew kind of what was going on with me. And I really think, in his mind, this was an opportunity to rescue me. And I think that I would be so thankful for all that he'd done that I would be his girlfriend, his truck girlfriend. And that's where things got really complicated. Because now I'm slightly uncomfortable. Even to the point where the little conversations kept creeping up, and when we went to Montana, I kind of just put a stop to it and said, I just don't want to talk about this anymore. And he's like, I won't mention it again. And I'm like, okay. And I thought that would be good. And he was an older gentleman, like, and his thought process, okay, I'll give you some examples. We went to a restaurant, and he's very into politics. I got 15 minutes. He's very into politics, and he knew that, and if I could remember the name, I would tell you, you know, she was saying the politician did something to her or whatnot, and because of the Me Too movement, you have to take these people seriously. And he was just calling bullshit from the beginning. You know, people make his shit up all the time. Well, that could be the case. Now, I wasn't going to argue with him because I'm not into politics. The only thing I can argue with about, well, he said, let me back up. We are in a restaurant, and it is a U-shaped bar. So you've got several truckers sitting around the table, and it comes on the TV, this political mess. And he starts the conversation out. Oh gosh, that girl, you know, da-da-da-da-da. And what he's saying offended me and offended a good people at the table. And they're kind of talking back and forth, but you have one gentleman, he's sitting over at the booth, and he gets mad. He is really not agreeing with the captain at all. So he gets out of the seat, and he mentions that, like the movie Jodie Foster was in, where they pinned her on the pinball machine and they raped her, that even though she might have been the public party girl, she did not deserve that. And that's true. Captain didn't like, he didn't like that he was arguing with him, I think. Because both of them got mad. Both of them got very loud. And the waitress finally, probably a good 20 minutes of this conversation, told us we need to quiet down or we need to leave. And I was agreeing with the dude. Just because a girl dresses a certain way or thinks a certain way doesn't mean she's inviting to be violated, to be raped. I mean, it just doesn't. It just doesn't. And I told him in the very beginning, I'm not on politics. You know, I'm an Aquarius. I'm a real deep thinker. I'm an INTJ. So I'm always thinking ahead of the game. But there's one thing that will piss me off, and that would be that shit. And that's where you'll see me get hot. So it's just something we really didn't agree on. But he thinks, you know, he said that if an underage girl makes the decision to go to a party, like a college party, she's asking for it. Like, it should be okay to rape this underage girl because she was stupid enough to go to this party. She made the bad decision. It's on her. That was what really got me upset at this restaurant. Well, not long afterwards, second example, he wanted my opinion on something. He said there was a car that was driving while I was sleeping. He's driving. There was a car that was driving, and there was a woman in it, and she was wearing a spandex dress, and her skirt was hiked up past her hip. And so he was gawking at her and gawking at her. And his thing is, well, if she wouldn't have wore that, then it wouldn't have invited me to gawk at her. I said, oh, okay. She's like, she even got uncomfortable when she saw me looking at her and tried to pull it down. Okay. I said, so you mean spandex like a stripper dress or something in Las Vegas, something like that? No, she was dressed for work. She was going for work. I'm like, okay, so I know when I wear a skirt and I sit down, the skirts will come up. Well, she wanted it up there because she wanted that attention drawn to her. I said, okay. I said, or maybe she's going to work. Her skirt rides up. She ain't going to mess with it because ain't nobody going to see it anyway. And she goes on to work. Well, when she looks up and sees you gawking at her, the very modest person that she is tried to pull that skirt down because she didn't think there's people higher than her car that's going to see this. Maybe that was it. And maybe she's just the mom that wore the skirt. I mean, she just didn't expect you up high to see her, because if I didn't drive a truck or a school bus, I wouldn't think that either. But that's not the case, is it? Okay, so in a sexist way, me and him didn't quite get along. The dog probably never shouldn't have been there. She was always under my feet. Always a challenge whether I was backing up or driving. Sweet, 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 sweet dog. But that was something extra that I had to take care of and do on my shift. The nakedness. You know, I don't mind nakedness. And I told him that. You're laying in the bed, you close the curtains. I really don't mind what you're doing back there. But he would bring it up front. So when I'm driving, you can imagine, and he is so heavy set, you can't tell that he's wearing underwear on the front. It's only the back. So I was FaceTiming my daughter, Faithy, and he had been in the bed, and it was, you know, and he flows open that curtain to ask me a question, and my daughter sees him. And she's like, she thinks he's naked. And he looks it. It's not really something you want to see. And I said, you've got to watch what you're doing, because I said, my daughter got to see you that way. Please, you know, just kind of be aware-ish, right? Then he would come up in front, and he'd be looking out the window, and I'm sitting here in, you know, the where you gas up the truck, the fuel pumps, and he's coming right beside me. Everybody can see him. Everybody can. Then he decides not only that he's going to turn, and because the dog's water and food bowl is right by the passenger seat that you can't even use because of all the stuff, he's got to bend over now. So all I see in my peripheral is ass and balls. There was even one point I said, could you just go back there and cover up? Well, I thought you didn't mind nudity. There's nudity and there's still modesty, right? Those are just some things that I had to put up with. And those are just a few, actually. the know-it-all stuff kind of really got on my nerves because he just knew it all. He knows everything. So those things got to me. And I got on his nerves. Don't think this was one way, because it definitely was not. Because by the last week and a half, I was snapping. I was getting loud. It's like he didn't think. You know, just like going in the casino and leaving his phone, and I don't know how long we've been there. I don't know when he's coming back. I don't know what to do. He just didn't think. And really, I think when he, you know, after these weeks, 3 or 4 weeks, whatever it was, and he put my name on the side, which I thought would come off, and I guess it doesn't. And I really think he was grooming me at first. You know, he's going to teach me self-defense. And he would just have a wealth of information. And he, you know, gamble. And he had the money. And he could buy me this. Buy me a few drinks. Or, you know, could have or would have. And then at the end, when I turned out that I was not as weak as probably he thought he would be, and that he was not going to get a truck girlfriend, that was not going to happen for him, that's when everything really, I think, went downhill. And like the last week, I had not showered in 4 days. In fact, if the sun came up this time, it would be 5 days. I was hungry. We were on a high value load, and I got up and I hadn't eaten yet, and we ran to get this. Then we got the high value load. Then I had 200 miles to go. Then there was nothing around after the 200 miles, so I almost went my 12-hour clock with not a lot to eat. Well, he's back there eating chips. I hear all the bags rattling back there. He's sleeping. Ain't no big deal to him. But he thinks about himself. He's not thinking about anything else. And that's what bothers me the most. Then when we stopped for the night and I say, you know, get him up, which I hated getting him up because I hate waking people up. But he insisted he wasn't using alarms. So when I wake him up, I'm aggravated now. I'm very aggravated. And he gets up, we're at the gas station, all this, you know, whatever. And I said, I'm going to run and take a shower. And he's like, no, you're not. You can't take a shower on this load. I said, by God, I am. I mean, I said, I haven't eaten. I haven't showered in 4 days. I'm fucking tired. And so he goes, well, just go get you something to eat then. And I really think he made up his mind that night, this girl got to go. I'm not going to get laid. I'm not going to have a truck girlfriend. I don't know. I think that's what I thought. So I think that I thought I might stay on during the winter. And he already knew it was off. So he was already, I mean, he said, we've got to stop in Springfield because I've got a maintenance that I've got to get done. So on our way from here to here, Maine, he's going to Maine from California. And so, yeah, or Wisconsin. And so we picked up that in Wisconsin, and we're heading back. Well, we're heading back to get me off the truck. I just don't know that. He didn't share that with me. In fact, he didn't talk about issues at all. And he's really non-confrontational. So that passive aggressiveness doesn't serve him well, I guess, with me. Trainer, yes. Should he be training? No, probably not. And I didn't want to say any of this before, because he had actually told my mom that there was one girl that he got off the truck who said he sexually harassed her. So he went in and talked to the people and made it so no one would talk with her or work with her. And so when I let my mom know kind of what happened, what I think, what went on, and what my issues were, I don't know why he thought I wouldn't talk to my mom. I told my mom everything. Then she told me, and I needed to keep my mouth shut, I guess. He did call my mom many, 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 many times. He did apologize and said he'd never have a trainer on this truck again. And with the dog, and he's just the all dirt and the messiness. He shouldn't be training. You know, he really shouldn't. Oh, and he offered me. Oh my gosh, it's going on a half an hour. At first, because I didn't know better, right? And he's like, you know, if you stay with me and you be my co-driver over the winter, then I'm going to give you 12 cents a mile. And I said, oh, really? And he's like, yeah, it's a lot. It's more than industry standard. Okay, yeah, 12 cents a mile. Well, I went in and asked my kid group, and they all laughed. They said he's taking me for a ride, you know. So I never really said anything. You know. Then I went to, then I got one of my first big paychecks where I was paid 14 cents a mile. Because if you drive over 5,000 miles, they're going to pay you per mile, not that 700. So I got like 900 and something, you know, instead of the 700, because I had drove over 5,000. And, I mean, I could drive. So, yeah, 12 cents a mile. So I'd be getting less than what I would get paid for Prime as a trainee. But he might not have known that. He doesn't keep up with, he keeps up with politics really well, but I don't think he keeps up with anything else like that. Very sweet, very nice guy, but he's little old school. And yeah, and that's what happened. So it was a whole awkward thing. And I was mad because I had put up with so much. I mean, I had put up really with a lot, I think. But you know, I've heard some horror stories and so much worse than mine. So I think it's a good idea to have this list. And they can have the trainers. You can write reviews. Therefore, when you get your trainer, they can actually, oh, he's a new trainer. He's worked for this month. You can actually help pick out which one you might get along with. Just because this trainer, this girl said he snores really bad, maybe you wear earphones to bed and you don't care. Or maybe like me, you know, because you're sleeping anyway. I'm not. Is this too long? 31 minutes. Oh my gosh. All right. So I'll let y'all know what happens tomorrow. And here's to upgrading. Bye, guys.